Good morning, everybody. It's Graham from Unearthed for the next episode of Detecting Talk. And here we are on a really wintry, picturesque morning here in Cumbria. And I have to say, in all my years of being outdoors, ever since I was a child, I have never seen such a beautiful morning as this morning. I was lucky to capture some brilliant photographs on my camera this morning out with the dogs. So have a look at them on Instagram if you follow us. I mean, I've never seen scenes like it. The moon was out, the sun was coming up, there was snow on the ground, the sky was a pink colour. You could see all the trees were white with snow and ice. The chimneys were burning in the background in the woods from the mansion. It was just like going back in time, literally like going back in time and looking at one of these ancient or old oil paintings. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning out there. Come with me and I'll show you. Here we are, folks, outside the Unearthed warehouse stroke showroom stroke workshop, and it is, I have to say, it is absolutely stunning out here today. We're so lucky to have this on our doorstep, and you know, this is where hopefully we'll be living one day if I can afford to build a home up here. I mean, look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's the Lakeland Fells in the background. It's just a winter wonderland. The camera probably doesn't capture, or the film doesn't capture the beauty of this. But there's the Unearthed test bed under a bit of snow this morning. But it's absolutely stunning. So lucky to be alive, but this morning I was walking over here with the dogs, it was just pink. It was just absolutely wonderful. There's our friends the horses, look. But it's absolutely beautiful. If anybody's out detecting today, which one or two of you will be, I hope you have a wonderful time in this wonderland. Right, I'm going to show you no more of this and get back to detecting talk. We are back, everybody, after that little bit of a diversion into the winter wonderland we've got going on up here at the moment. So I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of a snippet, and it's nice to see the sun shining here up in Cumbria and near the Lake District. Right, folks, this episode of Detecting Talk is going to be called, or as I call it, the changing name of metal detecting. Now, you may raise an eyebrow to yourselves thinking, what's that going to be about? But it all will be revealed. And a lot of you guys out there that detect and have detected as long as I have or longer will probably be able to relate to this as much as I do. So we'll start from the beginning. Way back in the 70s, when we used to detect occasionally with cheap and cheerful metal detectors, we didn't have a great deal of fines, buckles, the odd coin if we were lucky, but it was treasure to us. It was an adventure. It got us outdoors. We were never indoors. We were either fishing or metal detecting when we were children. However, times changed when I became a teenager and got into the hobby in a serious way. And I bought my dad bought me my first serious metal detector, and I was out probably 3 or 4 times a week, if not more. So everything else was neglected apart from work, which I hated anyway because I was stuck indoors. I wanted to be outside. So detecting almost took over my life in so much as I was that addicted to it and obsessed with it, I couldn't get enough of it. So it was almost like an addiction of some sort, or an obsession of some sort. And things haven't changed much, you know, 38 years on, and I'm still out doing what I do best, without sounding patronising. However, way back in the 1980s, things were much different in the detecting world. So, for example, if you were a detectorist, you were almost seen as a bit of a geek, if I can use that word, or a bit of a train spotter, or a bit of an oddball. So, for example, I would keep my thoughts to myself regarding my hobby of detecting to my close friends. Only my close friends knew that I was a detectorist, because there was this stigma attached to it. If you were a detectorist, you were a bit of an oddball, and that's a lot of people in this area here. That's how much, you know, that's how they're seen, detectorists, pretty much as train spotters, geeks, and that sort of thing. So for a long time, I hid from most people that I was actually out detecting, or I used to go out detecting. So for example, if I'd be out on a Saturday night with the lads from work, having a few drinks, and I was going detecting next morning, and I wouldn't want to be drinking too much or be out too late. I would make an excuse up that I was doing something else. I would never say I'm going out metal detecting, because you just got ridiculed. I mean, I was a big lad, not a lot fazed me. People didn't stand up to me in that respect because they probably knew what they were going to get back. However, it was almost like I had this secret life as a detectorist, and hid it from many people. But what was interesting was, if you had confidence in somebody and you knew you could talk to a particular friend or family member openly, you used to talk about detecting to them, and they were always very interested in what you found. They'd call you and go, you don't go out detecting in fields, you're not one of these weirdos on the beaches, are you, with headphones on wandering around. And you know, you were quite embarrassed about admitting it. But as soon as you showed them the finds that you make with the detector and the history behind it, a light bulb went on. They were very, very interested. They couldn't get enough of the finds that you showed them. But it was still this stigma attached to detecting. Now I look now, in the explosion of metal detecting on social media, Instagram, Facebook, some of the forums out there, and other platforms, Twitter as well. You know, people are posting up the finds. They're very enthusiastic about showing people what they find out in the field. And metal detecting all of a sudden has become extremely popular. It's that popular, people are openly talking about it. No longer are they stigmatised with this train spotting geek label. It's very much fashionable now to go out detecting. I always remember once, and it always sticks in my mind, where I was with a group of friends, and they knew I was a detectorist, and they knew I was going out detecting most weekends, rather than going out on the beer and doing what young lads do. And even my football days finished because of detecting, because I was that obsessed with it. But I always remember a Premier League footballer was a detectorist, and he played for Norwich City at the time. And he scored a goal, and his celebrations were with his teammates, that they all stood round him pretending to metal detect in a circle, going around detecting in front of the crowd. I thought it was hilarious. And a couple of lads said, hey, there's you, look, that's what you do, you know, sort of making a joke of it. But it was the first time I'd actually seen metal detecting on the television, and there was a bit of humour and a bit of banter out there about it. And somebody was quite open about that he went detecting, and I think that's probably stuck in my mind the most. And of course the magazines, as they used to be, without all the commercialisation of them, if that's the right word, of today, you know, the early magazines were fantastic. They were very popular. They were full of stories about detectorists, and we used to really enjoy them. Far cry from today's magazines, I have to say, I'm afraid. But there was a lot of really interesting stuff about detectorists there, but they were sort of, you know, on the shelves. You know, only the detectorists probably bought them because they knew what it was about. And I think now the magazines and other outlets, people are even not even into detecting, but they still find it interesting. I see some of the medieval sites and Romans Facebook pages on Facebook where there's detectorists there linking in with people that are interested in history. So I think it's a great, what I'm trying to say, it's a great how the changing face of detecting's sort of transpired. It's almost a breath of fresh air to see that people are quite happy and open to talk about their wonderful hobby, or our wonderful hobby. But it just takes me back to what it was like in the old days. I mean, I used to get all sorts of ridicule. You know, I can remember detecting on some permission I got up in the Lake District. I was very, very lucky because there was a guy in amongst all the National Trust land that had a rather large acreage of decent land near the lake, one of the lakes, Windermere, maybe Bassenthwaite, one of the two. And we decided, me and my friend, to go detecting there one morning. It was a beautiful morning. We found plenty of Victorian bits and pieces, Edwardian coinage and artifacts, and we were happy going about our business. However, the lake was then becoming busy. There was people on there water skiing, fishing, on pleasure boats with groups of lads, young lads and lasses, flying around the lake edges. And I always remember being shouted out at by this speedboat full of young lads and lasses. Hey, weirdo, bleep, bleep. You know, they were messing, you know, taking the mickey. I took my headphones off, I gave them a little bit back, and they soon disappeared. But it was that sort of thing, you know, you sometimes were a bit wary about going out into the public, even though you had permission where there was a lot of people, because you got that sort of banter. I mean, on the other hand, we also got a lot of people coming up to us with genuine interest in what we were finding out in the fields and the coinage that we were finding. We used to show them the finds out of our pockets, and they were sort of mesmerised to a degree. And I think a lot of people probably went out and bought a detector off the back of that chance meeting of us out in the fields. But there is a change in face. There's no two ways about it. The hobby has become extremely popular. It's become, you know, people are accepting it much more. It's no longer got that train spotting label about it, which is good, which is fantastic. You know, the people of today that are starting detecting probably in the last few years didn't get the ridicule that we got way back in the 70s, 80s, and probably even into the 90s. People just took the mickey out of people that metal detected. You know, you know, we had our fingers pointed at quite a lot. You know, even when we were detecting on beaches, we used to get a bit of stick off people. But you know, that's human nature and that's life. But also, while we're talking about the changing face of detecting, I think early doors, there was a lot of detectorists out there that had been doing it a fairly long time that were very open about giving advice and guidance about how to use a metal detector properly. And these guys had years of experience behind them. They also had years of really good quality finds, coins and artifacts behind them. And they were quite happy to write it down on paper into the magazines and other places to give people proper advice and guidance about how to get the best out of their metal detector, which I think was fantastic. We used to read certain individuals talking about their exploits out in the field with their particular detector and really enjoy them. However, again, the changing face of metal detecting, we find, I find to my dismay, a little bit where people have only been doing the hobby 18 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, and they're already on YouTube giving people advice, guidance about using a particular machine. They've never made any amazing finds. They're lucky if they find the odd hammered. You know, they've never really had the experience out in the field long enough to give people sound advice and guidance how to detect properly. Site finding, permission gaining, how to set their machine up correctly. It's just almost like they've been told by a dealer or a manufacturer to go and say these particular things and go and do a short YouTube video of it. And I think that's wrong. I think there should be people, more and more people out there that have been doing it a long time that are happy to spread their advice and guidance and experience. But there's a lot of people coming into the hobby now that they're giving really poor advice. I watched a video, what we're on today, Wednesday, at the weekend, Sunday, of an individual from the UK talking. He'd been detecting, what, 12 months, 18 months, I think. And the advice was just shocking. You know, how to find coins. This is the machine I use. This is how I set it up. Very arrogant on the screen, I have to say. And I think that turns a lot of people off. I think that's just bad advice. And you know, I feel sorry for the people that follow these guys on YouTube. I really do. And that's probably why I shied away so long from YouTube, because I knew it was full of idiots, if that's the right word. Like them. So you know, that's not going to change much, and that's another changing face of detecting. But you know, the popularity of the hobby is just amazing. I mean, it's just phenomenal how it's grown. You know, I have people coming up to me now and saying, I was walking the dogs yesterday, for example, even though Melanie didn't believe me when I got home and told her. I was walking on the public footpath nearby where I live, and a lady came up to me who was walking past on her own and said, you know, I said, you know, good afternoon, hello, sort of thing. Oh, by the way, I watch your videos on metal detecting. It's good to get a different perspective on things. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And the penny dropped that she was a detectorist from long ago. I do remember from the past. But, you know, the message is getting out there that people are watching the Unearthed detecting talk videos and actually getting something out of them. And I really appreciate the feedback like that, because it makes these things sort of worthwhile. So yeah, the changing face of detecting. If you people out there have got any comments to make, feel free to, you know, to leave a comment on the thread under the film video. I'm always grateful of your feedback, good or bad. Some of you guys out there might have been detecting even longer than I have and had no problems whatsoever. It might just be this particular area of the world there people ridicule detectorists, or used to do it in the past. Which is a shame, but I'm pretty sure there'll be people up and down the country experiencing the same banter and stick, if that's the right word, that we used to get out in the field. So that's the changing face of metal detecting. I hope it struck a chord with one or two of you guys. It certainly will have with a few, I guess. But it's, you know, how times have changed. How times have changed, folks. Now, leading on from this, just a very quick one. Some of you guys out there that follow us on Facebook, on our Facebook group, we have got the live detector draw still up and running. I think there's probably around about 40 tokens left. So if anybody's keen on having the chance of winning a Technetics G2 Plus, which is the same machine I use for those that follow me, or a Minelab Equinox 800, you've got the chance of purchasing a token off our Unearthed website, and you get put into a live draw. It's done independently by a gentleman called Richard, and he does a live draw. If your number is lucky enough to get drawn out, you will win one of 2 metal detectors, brand spanking new, full warranty, never been used, straight out of our stock. So that Facebook group is our Unearthed one. Feel free to join it. If you're not aware of the draw, you are now. So good luck. We run these draws probably, we used to do them once a month, but there's that many different groups copying our draws now, because we were the first group to do it without blowing my trumpet too loudly, and a lot of other Facebook groups looked at our draws and thought, we're going to have a bit of that, and then they started doing them. So you're always going to get that, but you know, we were the original group, so we should continue to do them. So once a month, maybe once every 6 weeks, we'll still continue to do these draws, because it gives people the chance to win a high-end machine for a £5. So it's, you know, for peanuts, you could get, I mean, many people have won. I think we're probably up to about 25 people now that have won machines for a £5. So fingers crossed if you win, good luck if you enter the draw, and we hope to be back next week with some interesting information on the new magic coils. Now, some of you guys might have been watching the earlier video when I did some field testing and some test bed work with the Magic 13. What's coming next is the Magic 5x8 and the Magic 9x13, which are the coils. Even though the 13-inch coil will tick a heck of a lot of boxes for people, these smaller, narrower coils that are coming are much more attractive to me personally for the sites I use, because you can remember, I'm not a pasture detectorist really. I'm more of an arable detectorist now, where there's a lot of iron, so I need the narrow coils to get between the stuff with a higher performance than the standard 11-inch coils that we use. If it gives me that boost and the sensitivity levels remain and everything else, happy days. So watch out, folks, there'll be another video coming soon on these potentially wonderful coils that are coming from Magic. So you take care. I'll catch you guys at the weekend. If the weather decides to warm up a little bit and the ice and the frost and the snow disappears, I will definitely be out detecting, because last weekend I wasn't anywhere, I didn't go anywhere, and we had a family do of the evening, which is great, but I wanted to be out in them fields the next day and I didn't get a chance to do it. So watch out, I'll post up some finds if I make anything decent out in the field, but keep posting your finds up and enjoying the detecting side of the hobby. Okay, thank you folks.